Let's go, lads.
Ariel, keeping England clean.
I'd like to have a one-to-one with Sir Frank Whittle,
the inventor of the jet engine. I'd ask him if he knew just how commercially successful it would turn out to be.
Tea, Frank!
And what drove him to keep at it when the government ignored him for 10 years? What kept him going?
Most of all, if I could have a one-to-one with Frank Whittle,
I'd ask if he thought his success was worth all that struggle.
One-to-one. Our mobile phone service gets business talking.
Extended until Sunday. Save 40%. This leather settee is just $598, and this loose cover one only $599. Save 40% on this one with solid pine features. Save almost £800 on this leather and solid oak sofa. And this sofa is just $499. Whatever you choose, there's 5 years free credit with nothing to pay for the first year. Combination offer ends Sunday at DFS.
My DFS.
Some people are made for it.
I was born lucky.
Some people aspire to it.
I saw myself in a chauffeur-driven Rolls-Royce.
But once you become one of Britain's richest people,
I don't call 100 or a couple hundred million rich.
what do you do with all that money?
Well, I've got 3 Ferraris.
I'd love you to shop for me, you know.
I spend at least £4 or £5 million every year.
Well, one has to keep busy. And as for the dream home,
I wish I'd have made it a little bigger.
catch up with Britain's richest people tonight at 9 on ITV.
There'll be Tony,
Gary,
Barry,
and Ron.
to talk about
Sport in the news.
who's out,
Who's in?
what's happening.
What's on?
Though we're missing 2 more points of view,
One is our studio audience.
who come armed with the odd question or two.
The other is our main referee.
It's not me.
Well, it's not me. It has to be you.
Late Tackle, Thursdays 10:40 on Central.
Now on Central ITV, in the first of a 2-part story, the bill and immigration join forces.
3 days, things like that.
Excuse me? I'm looking for Chief Immigration Officer Hugh Doyle. That's me. Hello, I'm John Bolton. This is Jim Carver, Sun LCID.
Oh, I gather you're interested in a man named David Schultz.
Yeah, we certainly are.
Snap. Hang on a minute. Open sesame. According to the bunk, this is full of bathroom fitting. Okay, guys. I'm CIO Doyle of the Immigration Service.
Maybe it's your accent. You could be right.
It's an address in Brooklyn. They think they're in New York.
Running up to me, so she wanted to play. Yeah, and she just attached herself to me, and then there was just nobody there. You know, I just thought, well, I can't leave her.
Yeah.
I can't just let her roam around. She was going to run off into the traffic.
So what did you do then?
I rang the dog warden, and then the police and Battersea, and then I took her all round. I've been walking her all around the area to see if she'd recognised anywhere.
Yeah.
Nobody recognises her.
I don't think she's been walking the streets for long.
No.
She's certainly not thin. She's, you know, she's certainly not dirty or. So
She's
beautiful
fantastic.
condition.
She's been brilliant. I want to keep her.
So what is your plan to try and find out if
I want
there
to
is
find
an
out
owner?
if she's got a, got a microchip.
Oh.
I'll just get the scanner. Let's have a look. Good girl.
She's not too sure of that.
We get a lot of stray dogs in, and it's pretty
Yeah.
unusual for us to find one.
They normally have them where? Just,
They usually have them over the scruff of the neck in the centre.
yeah. But you don't hold that much hope.
I didn't.
You got one.
We got one. Yeah, it's a long computer number. Let's just have another go, see if we can find it again, just to double check. Yep,
Yeah.
definitely.
So what do you do now with that?
Okay, that's great. I mean, I'm quite excited actually. We just ring up the pet log people. They're the people that register all the numbers and see if they've got a name and address for him. They should have on the computers, and see if we can trace the owner.
Not good news for you.
No, it isn't.
No.
Because we all love you, don't we?
Okay.
We'll
Go and give them a ring.
wait here, yeah. Bit of a disappointment. You were hoping that no
I
one
was
would
hoping to keep
claim
her.
her.
She gets on so well with mine.
You have another dog yourself?
Yeah, I've got a Springer. She gets a bit grumpy with other dogs, but
Not
she's
jealous with this one?
No, she doesn't let her on the bed.
Ah.
It's the only thing.
Oh, that's
You're
fair.
not allowed on the bed with Bramble, are you?
A short time later, Liz was back with some news.
Right. Well, we found the chip company and we've traced her owner and we have his mobile number, but unfortunately the mobile is switched off at the moment, so you're looking after her brilliantly. So we're happy for her to go home with you.
Fine.
What we will do is keep trying the guy who's registered with her and have a word with him and see what the story is.
But before they had a chance to leave, staff nurse Julie Pringle arrived with more news.
I've spoken to the owner. He's at Batty Dogs, I'm hoping that the dog was there, but saying that he was going to sign it over to them. Apparently he said he's lost it 10 times. So he definitely doesn't want it, and he's very keen for you to keep it.
Oh, wow.
Great. Brilliant.
So how does that make you feel?
Wonderful. My husband will be delighted.
Oh, he
Yeah.
was thrilled too?
She's
Thrilled
just
with
the
her?
sort of dog he wants.
Oh, wonderful.
Apparently the dog's name is Bissy, and she's settled in really well with her new family. Sometimes it can take a while to get used to a new pet. No matter how careful you are, things can still go wrong, as one couple discovered when they brought Cracker, their pet water dragon, into Viv Robertson's clinic.
So what can we do for you with them?
He's not eating.
Not
Just not
eating.
eating.
So we tried to
give him veg because he likes veg, but he doesn't want that, and he's hardly drinking as well.
Right. How long have you actually had him for now?
About 4 weeks now.
4 weeks. And is he on any supplements?
Junior iguana food.
We change it every day for him.
Right.
He's not been eating none of it.
Okay. His mouth is nice and clean. That's good. He's a little bit dehydrated there. You can see his skin's wrinkling up a little bit there. He's a little bit thin from not
He was
eating
much
the past
bigger when we
couple
got
of weeks.
him,
Yeah.
much fatter.
Yeah, but he's not too bad. Okay. Whereabouts do you keep him at home?
In a tank in the hallway with the
Right.
heat mat and the ultraviolet lights.
Right, okay. Is it a special ultraviolet light for reptiles?
Yeah.
It is, yeah. There we go. And there's nothing really obvious to find with them at the moment. I think it'd be worthwhile as giving him some fluids because he's a little bit dehydrated there. And we'll also just do a check X-ray just to check his calcium status because I mean it certainly sounds as if everything is being done for him correctly at home.
Very beautiful looking creature, aren't they? Just exquisite.
Cracker was x-rayed, and later Viv showed me what they'd found.
It's quite
What
spectacular.
is that there?
He's actually been eating stones and they've become trapped in the abdomen here.
Why?
This water dragon actually has quite marked calcium deficiency. You can see that the bones very, very faint next to the muscle there. The bones should be as white as these stones are, and you can see there's quite a difference in between them there. And it's been eating the stones to try and get some calcium into its body.
Have you seen stones like this before?
No, I haven't. No, I was really
Were you
quite
shocked?
Yes, I was very surprised to see them, especially stones this big.
So what's the next plan?
We're going to give the water dragon some fluids now through a stomach tube, and then with that we'll mix some liquid paraffin, which is a laxative, to see if we can get some of these stones to pass through. I'm a bit concerned about the size of this large one compared to the width of its pelvis.
Once Cracker had had his laxative, all we could do was wait. A few days later, I went to find out how he was getting on.
It's worked quite nicely. We've been giving him liquid paraffin daily over the weekend, and he's actually passed some of the stones now. They're there in that dish.
Those are they?
Yeah, that's them.
That the big one that you were worried about that mightn't go through the pelvis?
I think so, yeah.
Were you surprised that it worked so well?
I was. I haven't seen stones inside them before, so it's nice to see that they're passing out so quickly.
Yeah.
And we've also given him some calcium injections as well, just to help replace the calcium that he doesn't have in his skeleton at the moment. He has been drinking, and you can see for yourself he's a lot livelier.
Yeah, certainly is.
So hopefully it won't be too long before he's eating on his own as well. We'll just get the second X-ray taken just now and see how many stones are left inside him.
Right.
Okay. This is the one from today.
Whoa!
And we've just got one left in there. So
I bet you're
we
thrilled
managed
with
to-
that.
Yeah, we managed to get most of them out.
And you hope to get that last one out?
Yeah, but I think it'll come out eventually. We'll just keep going with little drops of the liquid paraffin.
And he did pass that last stone just a couple of days ago. Cases like that are fairly unusual, but there is one kind of story we are always hearing. Rarely a week goes past without some cat, somewhere, getting itself stuck in some totally bizarre place. Steve Knight went with Chief Inspector John Paul when he answered just such a call a few days ago.
I understand you've got a bit of a problem.
Yes,
Got a cat underneath the floorboards?
somewhere.
Right, shall we come in? Thank you.
The owner of the house had already done his very best to find the cat. Have you taken all these up to find the cat?
To try and find it, yeah.
Right, what happened exactly then, Mr. Morris?
Ever since we've lived here, we've had other cats coming in through the cat flap.
In the middle of the night, I heard a noise, came down, went into the kitchen.
Yes.
I noticed that the ornaments on the side had been knocked over and there was all footprints up on the ledge. When I came back in here,
Must have scared the animal,
because he's gone down in the corner there, which there was one loose board. It was the only board that was up, with a gap of 2 inches maybe, and he's got his foot in there, in panic I imagine. Pulled the board away and dived down the hole.
Do you mind if we take up a few more to see whether we can get hold of the cat?
The hunt was on. Every time John caught a glimpse of the cat, it just ran off again.
He's underneath there. Okay, no, there's nothing, no sign of the cat down there.
Nothing there. After an hour's searching, he finally had it cornered.
He's quite happy. He's turning around having a look at me.
Is there any way you can reach it from there?
No, I'm afraid not. Every time you put your hand anywhere near the cat, it just shoots off in an opposite direction. I think we'll have to go to another plan of putting a cat trap down.
The cat will come in through the opening to the food, which will be put that side of the plate. Because when the cat comes in and touches that plate to reach the food, the cat is caught.
We didn't have to wait long. The next morning, Mr. Morris called us back.
Yeah. Successful result.
So what time did the trap go off?
Just before 1 a.m. It was quite a bang, woke me up and came down and there he was in the trap.
Glad to see you repair all the damage. It was
Yeah.
a bit of a state, wasn't it?
It was.
Back at Putney, vet Sarah Opie gave the cat a checkup. It didn't seem too ruffled by the experience.
There we go.
It's quite docile,
Oh,
isn't it?
yes.
Yeah.
It's not bad. You've got your food with you. His eyes are bright. He's not too thin either, so he's obviously been eating. He looks like actually he's got some old scar wounds there, so maybe he's been in a few scraps in his life, I should think. It may be that he was owned at one point and he's just, wandered off and he's been astray for a little while. What we'll do is we'll keep him for 7 days. After that, he can actually go to a homing centre and get a new owner.
It can be quite a mystery why animals do the things they do. But sometimes even the strangest behaviour can have a simple explanation. Take a spaniel called Charlie that was brought into Sarah Opie's clinic.
Right, so what's the story with him?
Well, he's a rescue dog. I saw a lady crying one day and
Yeah.
she was having to take him to Battersea Dogs Home
Oh, right.
because she couldn't keep him.
Yes. That's a good boy. Stay there.
But he's got a really bad snoring problem.
Yes, you have rather, haven't you? Yes. So how long have you actually had him?
About 7 weeks now.
7 weeks, right. And has this problem been there all the time? Or has it got
Since
worse?
I've had him,
or-
yeah.
It has, right. Is he snoring at night as well as during the day? Is it like a problem that's happening all the time?
Anytime he goes to sleep, he's got a terrible
Right,
snore.
really. Let's have a look at you.
Come on, Johnny.
Look in your mouth.
Good boy.
Good boy, that's it. You're good. Now, the other thing about breeds similar to this that have the sort of shorter noses or the sort of squatter faces, they can have problems with too much in the mouth, really. You can see he's got a massive great tongue here, and the roof there is a bit too long, and so every time he breathes, it flaps. So that's what's causing the snoring. It's not like human snoring, where you know, that's only at night. This is because of the shape of his mouth. And it means that his whole wind passage here, if you like, is quite small and quite tight. It may be that it would be an idea for us to have him in and give him an anaesthetic and just check the back of his mouth, make sure there's nothing, you know, that needs to be corrected in there. But otherwise, he certainly looks very, you know, pretty healthy. Little lad.
But under anaesthetic, Sarah was able to confirm her original diagnosis.
He does have quite a long palate there, and that's what's causing all this snoring sound, definitely. He must be about 5 years old at least. The back of his throat is quite thickened generally, so that's not really helping him. Maybe when he was younger something could have been done, but now really it's, you know, it's not correctable. And usually it'll be all right, but sometimes if the dog gets stressed or if he's doing a lot of activity, then they can actually collapse. And also in hot weather as well. You know, the more they pant, sometimes the whole throat can get swollen and then the breathing is compromised. I think what we're going to have to do is just advise the owner on conservative treatment. In other words, just watching that the dog doesn't get too stressed. And certainly in hot weather, she just makes sure that he doesn't get overheated or anything like that.
With nothing to be done, Charlie was left to snore off his anaesthetic in peace.
Poor old Charlie. He's actually lucky to have such an understanding owner. Not all pets are so fortunate. Sometimes they just don't get the care they need as quickly as they should. An injured cat in need of treatment was reported the other day, and Inspector Phil Norman went to investigate.
It's not actually your cat. You found it how many weeks ago?
I've had it a few weeks.
A few weeks. You don't know where it came from before then?
No.
The purpose of my call is I've had a call concerned from someone who's seen it possibly with an injured leg.
Yeah.
Has it had an injured leg?
It has, yeah. Yesterday it came in, because it's been here quite a few weeks now, and I like the cat, but I haven't got money to pay for it.
How long has the leg been injured?
I think about a day or so.
Okay. Have you any idea what happened to the cat to cause the injury?
No.
None at all?
No.
It's the leg underneath, I presume, is it?
Yeah.
Once
It's not
he's
been
lying on.
crying or nothing, and it can jump on it, but it's swinging. I think it might have been hit by a car.
Is it putting any weight on the leg at all?
Now and then it forgets and he puts it down.
Just see how it walks.
So, come on, come on, Casper. Come on, Casper. Come on.
Yes, sweetheart. Yeah. It is putting some weight on the leg, but only momentarily. It's quite possible that it's been hit by a car or
It goes
something.
to the school here where all the cars keep coming
Yeah,
up.
but obviously there could be a number of reasons. So we'll probably have to get a vet to take a look. We may have to X-ray it as well. I mean, this injury is obviously quite noticeable, and when you get something like this, you really need to go to the vet straight away.
Okay.
So we'll take it up from now and have a look at it, get the vets to take a look over it, see what the problem is, and start the treatment.
Phil took Casper back to Putney, where locum vet Bruce Goodwin could examine him.
Okay, let's have a look at you, young man. It seems okay down low there. Ooh, that's hurting him, isn't it? Yeah, there's definitely something going wrong. Okay, puss, okay. I think what he might have done is fractured the top of his thigh on his right, right up high in his right femur there. Or possibly even dislocated it. It's a bit hard to feel because it's right up near the pelvis there. Straight away we'll get some painkillers into him because he's obviously very sore around there.
Yeah.
Then we want to x-ray him basically, see exactly what's going on, whether it's dislocated or whether it is actually fractured.
The X-ray showed that Casper did have a bad fracture, but Bruce was optimistic that it could be fixed.
Just put a pin straight up the middle there. That should go really well. And he's only a young cat, so I think that'll heal well.
The next day, Casper was anaesthetised and Bruce set to work. Having found the break in the bone, it was important to choose the correct size of pin.
Cats have fairly thin bone, and if you try and shove a pin that's too big down the middle of a cat's bone, they split and then you're in all sorts of trouble. But you don't want one too small because it won't be strong enough to hold everything in position. Okay, I've got that pin in the upper piece of bone, and I'm going to push that through the top of his leg and then line the two pieces up and drive it back down, and that'll hold them together.
Bruce had to screw the pin down the middle of the broken bone. The pin's position was crucial. Push it too far and Caspar wouldn't be able to bend his knee. With the job done, all Bruce had to do was sew up the wound and x-ray the leg to check the pin.
The end of the pin's nice and sort of not quite into the joint, but right into the end of the bones. The sides of the bone have joined up really well. So yeah, I think that's gone pretty well, really.
And Caspar's making a great recovery, aren't you, boy? His owner decided to sign him over to the RSPCA, and he's going to be looked after at a foster home until he's completely recovered. And don't forget, if you want to rehome any of the animals you see in the program, please don't ring the hospital. You may stop an emergency call getting through. All the information you'll need is on CFAX, page 628. Now, several of you have contacted us wanting to know what happened to a horse called Waif. We featured him earlier in the series. He'd been abandoned in a terrible state and was very weak.
He has no strength at all to hold himself up really when I pull on him. Okay, you just stand in there.
At first it seemed that with medical help and plenty of food he might recover. But then the vets looking after him discovered that he had a disease in his spine called wobbler syndrome. And unfortunately that just got worse and worse, and they felt they could do nothing more to help him. So reluctantly he was put to sleep. Very sad. Now, I've met some great characters since I've been here, and for some of them, when it comes to their pets, nothing is too much trouble, as I found out the other day in Julie Taylor's clinic.
Who's this?
Tom.
Tom.
I've had him 40 years. He's blind.
Is he?
Yeah.
So if he's blind, how do you feed him?
I stand him up on my lap, and I try and open this, see I have a job to open the mouth.
Right, and
Open
feed
his
him that
mouth
way?
and put the apple in, and then I lay him on there and I just feed him as he goes along.
That's quite a lot of work.
It is.
Yeah. What's the matter with him?
Wants cutting, you see that there?
Oh, right, his
But I
beak
don't
needs
think he
trimming.
doesn't eat a lot, neither.
Is this a common condition with tortoises?
Yeah, they frequently do get overgrown beaks and need them trimmed back. Why don't you actually try to grab his head and I'll get something to trim his beak?
1, 2, 3.
That's it. You got him.
Yes,
Yes,
now
you
that's
got him.
better.
That's perfect.
Open up, mate. Good boy. I know you don't like this bit.
He's not too thrilled with that.
No.
Is it something they would get in the wild as well?
I think probably in the wild they eat things that are hard enough to keep the beak trimmed back. It's a better shape now. You can see that it's quite a bit trimmed
yes.
off there
Yes.
now.
I didn't know whether it was a boy or a girl.
The easiest way to tell is when you have a boy and a girl together, because you do it by the length of their tail. That looks like a fairly long tail. The tip of it's
Yes.
quite long. Also, boys tend to have longer claws in the back than girls
Oh, do they?
do. Yeah.
They are very long, his claws.
And they are quite long, aren't they? So, I'd make an educated guess at boy.
I thought so.
Okay.
Lovely.
Hope so, after calling
So
him
do
Tom
I.
all this time.
For 40 years.
For 40 years, yeah.
It was quite straightforward for Julie to sort out his problem, but sometimes it takes a lot of detective work before the vets can find out what is making an animal ill. That was certainly the case for a boxer called Brandy that was brought in to see vet Sarah Opie.
Right, so you've been here before, haven't you?
Yeah, 4 times.
Right, so, and he's got a history of diarrhoea.
Yeah, really bad.
Did she improve when she was on antibiotics? Because she was on a course of antibiotics. She did? Okay. Is she quite bright in herself? Is she quite happy and bouncing around?
She jumped about and everything.
Aren't you? And is she eating well? She's got a good appetite?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And is she being sick at all?
Yeah, the other day she was sick once.
Was she? But is that the only time she's been sick?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so it's more diarrhoea. And puppies, sometimes they can, it's purely the diet that will cause diarrhoea, but I think probably in her case, it may well be something a little bit more serious that we need to actually treat, all right, because she's very, very underweight, isn't she? You know, you can see all her ribs here, so it may be that she has a bowel problem, which means that everything's just going straight through and she's not taking all the nutrients up. And, you know, so therefore she's losing quite a bit of weight. There are a couple of syndromes boxers can get, which are very similar to an irritable bowel type problem. That would only show up with blood tests and looking at feces samples. So that's what we'll do next.
But before the test results had come through, Brandy suddenly got a lot worse and was rushed back to hospital. Viv Robertson suspected something was seriously wrong and decided to operate immediately.
I'm looking for an obstruction in the guts called an intussusception, which is where part of the intestine telescopes into itself, causing an obstruction so that the food can't pass through. It also causes the blood supply to the guts to be cut off so that they can die as well. So we're now just going to start at the stomach and then gradually work our way down through the intestines and check for any abnormalities.
But no sign of it yet.
No sign of it yet. That's good. There's nothing stuck in the stomach. No obstruction there.
Viv's search revealed nothing. She'd have to try something else.
The next step now is to do a biopsy of the guts, which we'll send off to laboratory for analysis.
When Viv had finished the biopsy, Brandy went back to her owners. A few days later, they brought her in for the results of the tests.
We did some blood tests on her originally. One of the levels of B vitamins was quite low, and that was a sign that she had extra bacteria in her guts. And the biopsies that we did in the operation a week or so ago have shown that she seems to have a food allergy, and she's not able to digest your normal dog food.
It's not cancer or anything like that?
No, definitely not, no.
Gosh, what a great relief.
She's been worried about it.
Have you? You've been worried sick about it. Are food allergies very common in dogs?
A lot of dogs are intolerant to foods and they get a little bit of an upset, but she has a true allergy, which is why we've seen such severe signs with her, and that's why she's been so skinny. Yeah. Treatment-wise...
So she will be all right after a while, will it?
She will be, yes, but it's a lifelong condition, so she's always going to have an allergy. It's a bit like hay fever, you're never cured of it. You're always going to have it, but it's a case of keeping it under control.
So what should we feed her from now on?
You could keep her just on chicken and rice all the time, but I think it would be a good idea while she's still a growing puppy to actually get her on a commercially prepared allergy diet, which is, again, it's formulated from chicken and rice, but it has the right balance of vitamins and minerals as well. We also just need to put her onto a longer course of antibiotics just to even out the levels of bacteria in her guts as well. She should be fine. She should be able to lead a very happy, normal life. Yeah.
I was brought the
Well, that was 2 weeks ago, and here's Brandy now. How's she doing, Charlie?
Oh, she's doing very well now. Since she's no sickness, no vomiting since she's been on a special diet.
No diarrhoea?
No, none at all. She's doing really well. She's back to her normal self.
She's so alert, isn't she, now, compared to how she was?
Oh,
She
yeah,
putting on a bit of weight?
Oh, yes.
Because her ribs before, they looked like a blooming toast rack, didn't
They
they?
was, yeah.
What a good dog. Well, thanks so much for bringing her in.
Thank you.
Now, you may remember 2 weeks ago, a very sick barn owl was brought in. It was treated by vet Adam Jolly, and it was soon on the mend. A few days ago, it was well enough to be taken to its new home at Hydestyle Wildlife Hospital. Steve went along and met up with Graham Cornick, who runs the hospital, and he explained his plans to help the owl make a full recovery.
I'd like to keep it in this hospital aviary. This is nice and warm. And because he's going to continue being hand-fed for a while, I think it would be a benefit to keep him in here. I want to get his body weight up. And once we do that, then they can go outside into a big aviary. So you'll be okay, won't you, mate? Ready? Let's pop you inside. Okay, there we go. Gently does it.
The owl seemed to take to its temporary home and its new roommate. The hospital treats all sorts of wild animals, and at this time of the year, it's particularly busy with young orphans, including 8 fox cubs.
Why do so many get separated from their mums?
Well, often the main cause is road traffic accidents. Mum gets killed, cubs come up looking for mum, and they get found that way.
So do you release these back into the wild?
Oh, Lord, yeah.
Every one of them?
Yep.
This little cub was found in a loft. His coat was full of fiberglass, so now he's having regular baths to try and clean him up. Graham's also hand-rearing some baby squirrels.
Well, at this time of year, there's a lot of trees being felled, and consequently, they find the babies in there. So we do get quite a few little ones in.
So what happens to Mum? She just abandons the nest, does she?
Well, because Mum's been so scared by chainsaws and goodness knows what, she's long gone. And she may well come back, but her home has completely disappeared.
Orphans aren't the only seasonal casualties. Graham is looking after some sick toads as well.
Well, sadly, a lot of these poor little mites get injured on the roads, and especially at the moment because they're making their way back home after the breeding season. We have around in Surrey great teams of toad patrollers, and they see them safely across the road. And what they do is they gather them up in buckets and get them across the other side of the road and tip them out, and away they go.
So these toad patrols, will they operate at night or
Oh
during
yeah,
the day?
yeah, they have their little torch and their bucket and reflective jacket, and they're out every night whilst the toads are actually migrating. But this little fella actually had an injured leg, which has healed beautifully, and so he'll be soon going back home, won't you, mate?
Well, that's all we've got time for. We'll be back at the same time next week. Till then, I'll leave you with some more of those animals at Hyde style. See ya. Bye.
It's poker night for the lads and Mum wants to play. Comedy next here on BBC One. And Rolf Harris shares memorable moments.